Stop scrolling right now because what you are about to hear is not just a story. It is a journey into love, pain, silence, and a moment that changed everything forever. Stay with me till the end because the truth behind this story will leave you speechless and maybe, just maybe, it will change the way you see love and life forever. The city of Beijing never sleeps. Lights flicker endlessly across tall buildings, cars move like restless thoughts, and people chase dreams that sometimes slip through their fingers. And in the middle of all this chaos, there was a man the world admired, a man whose smile could light up millions of hearts, Yu Menglong. To the world, he was perfect, talented, calm, successful. But behind that calm face was a storm no one could see. And then there was Xin Fei. She was not just another name in his life. She was different, quiet, observant, and deeply emotional. The kind of person who did not speak much, but when she did, her words stayed with you. They met on a film set. At first, it was just work. Simple conversations, polite smiles, long shooting hours. But something started to grow between them. Something unspoken. One evening, after a long day of filming, the rain began to fall softly. The crew rushed to pack up, but Yu Menglong stayed behind. Xin Fei was standing alone, watching the rain. He walked up to her and said quietly, "You like the rain too?" She smiled, softly. "It feels honest." That moment changed everything. Their bond grew in silence. No headlines. No public appearances. Just late-night calls, quiet walks, and moments shared away from the world. He would tell her about the pressure, the expectations, the loneliness that came with fame. She would listen, not to reply, but to understand. And slowly, she became his peace. But life is never that simple. As his fame grew, so did the pressure. Endless schedules, constant attention, expectations that never seemed to end. The smile he showed the world started to fade when no one was looking. Messages from Xin Fei became shorter. Calls became less frequent. Something was changing. That night felt different. The city was quiet, unusually quiet. Yu Menglong stood by the window, staring at the lights below. His phone was in his hand. A message from Xin Fei sat unread. She had written, "Please talk to me. You are not alone." He read it again. And again, but he did not reply. The next morning, the world woke up to shocking news. Yu Menglong was gone. No one could believe it. Fans cried. The industry was silent. Questions filled the air, but answers were nowhere to be found. And Xin Fei. She did not cry in public. She did not speak. But those close to her said, she changed completely. Days later, she returned to the same place where they once stood in the rain. The memory was still alive. The laughter, the silence, the beginning of everything. She closed her eyes and whispered, "You said the rain feels honest." A single tear rolled down her face. And now it feels empty. Some stories do not have happy endings. Some love stories are not meant to last forever. But that does not make them any less real. Yu Menglong and Xin Fei's story was not about fame or success. It was about two souls who found each other in a world that never stopped moving. And sometimes that is enough. If this story touched your heart even a little, don't just scroll away. Take a moment and think about the people in your life.
Check on them. Talk to them.
Because sometimes the strongest people are the ones who need someone the most. And if you believe love stories like this should never be forgotten, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Because some stories are not just meant to be heard.
They are meant to be felt.
But what if the story didn't end there? What if everything the world believed was only half the truth? Because while the world was mourning, Xin Fei was remembering. Days after everything happened, Xin Fei finally opened her phone again. Hundreds of missed calls, thousands of messages, but none of them mattered. There was only one thing she was searching for: his last message. Her fingers trembled as she opened their chat, her heart beating faster with every second. And then she saw it. A message sent just minutes before everything changed. "I am tired, not of life, but of pretending I am okay." Xin Fei froze. Everything around her felt silent. Her chest tightened as if the air had been taken away from her. Because she understood those words more than anyone else ever could. She remembered the nights he couldn't sleep. The way he would sit quietly, staring into space like he was somewhere far away. The way he smiled for everyone, but never for himself. The way his voice would soften when he said things he never fully explained. He once told her, "Sometimes I feel like I am disappearing, even when everyone is looking at me." At the time, she didn't know how to respond. She thought it was just stress, just exhaustion, just another phase that would pass. Now those words echoed endlessly in her mind, louder than anything else. That night, Xin Fei almost called him. She picked up her phone, stared at his name, and dialed. The ringing sound filled the silence around her. And then she stopped. Her thumb hovered over the screen before she ended the call. She told herself, "I will call him tomorrow. He just needs space." But tomorrow never came. And that one moment, that one decision, became something she could never escape from. Weeks passed, and the world slowly moved on. The headlines faded, the conversation stopped, and people returned to their normal lives. But Xin Fei didn't move on. She couldn't. Every place reminded her of him. Every quiet moment felt heavy. Even the smallest things, a song, a street, a simple memory, would pull her back into everything she was trying to hold together. One evening, just as the sun disappeared behind the city, a small package arrived at her door. There was no return address, only her name written in a way she recognized instantly. Her hands shook as she picked it up. Something inside her already knew. She opened it slowly, carefully, like she was afraid of what she might find. Inside was a letter, folded neatly, written in his handwriting. Her heart dropped as she unfolded it, her eyes scanning the first line before the tears even began to fall. "I don't know if you will ever read this, but if you are, then it means I couldn't find the strength to say these words out loud." She held her breath as she continued. "You were the only place where I felt real. The only person who saw me, not the image, not the expectations, just me. I am sorry for the silence. I am sorry for the distance. It was never because I didn't care. It was because I didn't know how to carry everything anymore." Her vision blurred as the tears fell faster, her hands gripping the paper like it was the only thing holding her together. "But if there is one thing I need you to know, it is this. You were my peace in a world that never stopped. And I will always be grateful for you." Xin Fei couldn't stop crying. Not quietly, not softly, but in a way that came from somewhere deep inside her, a pain she had been holding back finally breaking free. For the first time, she understood everything he never said. It was never about weakness. It was never about not wanting to continue. It was about carrying too much for too long, without knowing where to put the weight. And the world never saw it. That night, she returned to the place where it all began. The same street, the same quiet feeling, the same memory of rain falling between them. As if the universe remembered too, the rain started again. Soft at first, then heavier. Xin Fei stepped forward into it, not caring about anything else. The drops fell against her face, mixing with her tears, washing away everything she had been holding inside. She closed her eyes and whispered, her voice barely audible, "You are not alone anymore." The rain fell harder, surrounding her completely, like the world was listening. Time passed, but something inside her slowly began to change. Not the pain, not the memories, but the way she carried them. Days later, she picked up her phone again. But this time, she wasn't looking back. She wasn't reading old messages or replaying moments she couldn't change. She opened a blank page, and she started to write. Not just about him, but about everything he felt, everything he went through, everything people never saw. She wrote about silence, about hidden pain, about the people who seem strong but are breaking inside. Because she realized something important. Maybe she couldn't change what happened, but she could make sure others didn't feel alone in the same way. And slowly, people began to listen. Her words reached hearts she had never met. People who felt the same emptiness, the same quiet struggles, the same need to be understood. And in a way, his story didn't end. It transformed. Some people leave, but their presence stays. Not in a way you can see, but in the memories that refuse to fade, in the words that continue to echo, in the quiet moments where you feel them the most. He was gone, but what they shared was not. And it never would be. So before you leave this moment, before you move on like the world always does, think about someone in your life. Someone who might be smiling, but carrying more than they show. Someone who might be waiting, even silently, for someone to notice. Do not wait, because sometimes the smallest message, the simplest call, can change everything. And sometimes silence hides the loudest pain. If this story made you feel something real, don't just scroll away. Like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more stories that are not just watched, but felt deeply. Because some stories are not meant to be forgotten.